Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. It's Q&A Tuesday. So guess what? I'm going to start off with the countdown days first, okay? And if you're new to my channel, I have been counting down the days till the AHIMA 2019 conference that is being held in beautiful Chicago, Illinois this year, home of the American Health Information Management Association. The pre-conference starts on September 14th, and that is 95 days from today. And the official kickoff date, when everybody starts getting in and they have all the welcoming ceremony, is on that Sunday, September 15th, and that is 96 days from today. Can you believe that it's less than 100 days? I'm so excited. I'm like a little kid with this. I cannot wait. And every year, like, the anticipation just builds and builds and builds. And I have been to Chicago before. Actually, for AHIMA, I had gone there, and I'm so excited to go again because it's been a few years since I've been, but I'm always excited every year. I'm excited to know the things that are going to go on, and I'm excited to see my friends. It's going to be a good time. So be sure to check the website if you're interested in going. Early bird pricing is still going on until July 15th, I believe. So be sure to take advantage of that if you're interested in going. Okay. So let's get started with the questions. So number one is the conference only for AHIMA members? They welcome everybody. So you do not have to be an AHIMA member to go to this conference. Just be sure to check the website and see if you're interested in going. Like I said, you don't have to be a member. You could be a member of any association. You could be a civilian and not even be a member at all of any medical coding association. So we welcome everybody. All right, number two, is it a good place to network at conference? Of course, this is where you start meeting people. I have met people that I've known since a few years ago when I was in my first one, which was in San Diego, and I've seen them every year since. So it is a very good place to meet people, to make those good connections, because you do start seeing each other at more events as time goes on. I went to a boot camp that AHIMA had in Vegas a few years ago, and then I had gone to conference the following year, and of course I saw the same people that were at the boot camp at conference. So it is a good place to meet people and expand your professional group of people that you know. So like I said, if you are a new student or if you're just new to medical coding, this is a good place to start shaking hands and getting to know folks. Just saying. And also, if you're interested in ever like changing wherever you're working, if you're working for one coding company and you want to change to another one, this is a good place to look if you have experience. They're always looking for experienced coders as well. So be sure to just think about it if you're interested. Okay. Oh, and then one other thing about that, you do earn continuing education units. So it's not totally like you just going on vacation. You are actually earning continuing education units, which can be put towards your credential if you are already credentialed. Okay? All right. Number three, do you have a lot of interaction with the public as a medical coder? No. Your circle of people when you are a medical coder is your provider, your supervisor, and your coworkers. And then like maybe some of the ancillary staff. And that's it. You don't have to deal with patients unless you're doing the billing. If you're on the billing side of the house, then of course you're going to have to deal with the insurance company and the patients and things like that. But as far as if you are actually just a medical coder like I am just a medical coder. I do not have any interaction with patients. Okay? So if you are in one of those transition periods, because I've gotten emails from people that they're kind of in a transition where they don't really want to have a lot of interaction with the public, but they still want to be in the medical field somehow, some way. And this is one of those good positions to be in because basically you're reading. Okay, so that answers that one. Number 4, is my real name Blue? Yes, it is. I never expected that question, but yes, that is my real name. Number 5, I always hear people say to get your foot in the door. So if I'm a newbie and certified and I get a billing job or front office job, when it comes time to become a coder, let's say a year later, will I forget how to code? And would I need to take another class, a refresher class? Okay. Well, first, I don't think this is something that you forget. Once you've been trained and once you've gone through school, it's not something that you forget to do unless you're absolutely not doing it. But then if you want to keep your skills sharp, you should always continue to stick with it. That's what's so great about Quiz Friday and Answer Monday. Not to give my own channel a plug, but I will in this instance. Okay, so this is a good way to kind of like, okay, let's continue this discussion about coding, about codes, applying codes, and procedure codes and things like that. So at least this way you can sort of always kind of exercise with it and just kind of keep it in your mind. You can still continue to read books and better yourself as far as your understanding of the disease process and your anatomy and things like that while you are, working at a different place, and not doing medical coding at that point, until you do get a job in medical coding. But I don't think that it is something that you forget, really. It's not something that you can, unless you're one of those people that just, like, if you're not doing it, then it just completely goes away. Then, I mean, I guess the best person to answer that would be, yourself. Is that something that you kind of go through? So if it is, I mean, I recommend to kind of always kind of stay up on it at least once a month. Try to look at the book or go through the book, or hopefully you are a member of an association by that time, and then you can go once a month to their coder meetings, once a month, or sometimes they have them a quarter, depends on the association. So like I said, if you're involved with the association, just attend the meetings, and so this way you don't forget. But if you feel like you need a refresher course, then go for a refresher. It's all gonna depend on you. But I think when you're first starting out, I think a lot of people are just excited, and they do tend to kind of recall that stuff right away because they're excited to finally be able to be a coder. Okay. So next question. Number 6, AAPC has a thing called Practicode. It's supposed to help remove the A off of your credential. Do you recommend me taking that to get the A removed? So I don't really know a lot about AAPC. I know the A on the CPC stands for apprentice. So I know that after a certain amount of time, or if you have a certain amount of experience, and then it can be taken off. I mean, I don't know. So that's something that you would have to look at with the association, or ask another association member, because I'm like the worst person to ask about that, because I don't really know. I mean, I can't say either way, but if it sounds like it's beneficial for you to have the A removed, the apprentice, then by all means go for it. Get that A removed if it is more beneficial for you. I guess. I mean, I think that's like a bad answer on my part, but like I said, I don't really know. And I did ask a friend of mine about the self-assessments, and I guess you guys in AAPC don't have to do that. So that's something that was like foreign to me, because I thought everybody had to do that, but I guess AAPC doesn't. They just have the continuing education units they got to report. Of course, we do too. But that's something, I guess, that is a HEMA. So I don't know. I'm sorry. I mean, I can't really answer that one for you. So I have to defer to the experts on that one. But I'm sure if you call somebody at AAPC, they can answer, give you a better answer than I can. Okay, so next question. I watched a YouTube video on new coder being a risk adjuster. What are your thoughts? Okay, so this is probably a little confession I should tell you guys. I refrain from watching other medical coders' videos. Why do I do this? I refrain from watching other coders' videos because I want my content to be pure. I don't want any other outside influence. I don't want to think about what somebody else is saying, or I don't want to have something else that somebody else said in my head. I want these to be completely pure. When I thought about doing this a year ago, a little over a year ago, it was like in April, I had thought about doing this, about doing my channel. And I was on the track walking with a friend of mine, and I said, you know what? I really want to do a channel about medical coding, because we were talking about all this education stuff that I had been doing. And she was telling me, she's like, you're just really a natural with it, and she was struggling because where she worked at, she didn't have a lot of interaction with her providers, and I have a little bit more interaction with my providers, and it's easier for me because I've gotten to know them. So it's helped with my relationship with my providers. And so just sort of getting that feedback from them, and then just knowing how to discuss these things, which was sort of the reason that I started to think about doing this, because I was thinking, well, because she did ask me, like, how do I do this? How do I talk to my providers? How do I get them to listen to me? And so I was sort of giving her some pointers, and that's when the brainchild of Medical Coding with Bleu came along. And I was just like, well, maybe I should tell other people. I mean, I'm sure you're not the only one who has this issue where, sometimes people, get anxiety about talking to providers. I mean, like I said, I did too. I went through that too. I was very nervous in the beginning when I started talking to them, but like I said, I will never forget the lesson that I learned from Dr. X, okay? And I won't mention his name. But I will never forget that lesson of, hey, I do want you to talk to me. I want to have a good relationship with my coder, and I want to be able to know, what are you looking for? So, he's like, don't be scared, So I was like, okay, So because of that, I mean, here I am. So like I said, I try not to look at other other coder videos. So this way all of my content is original and what I'm thinking of. So I've never worked as a risk adjuster, so I don't really know what they do. I mean, I know kind of what it is, what a risk adjuster is, but I don't really know what their job entails. So that would be something like you'd have to sort of, I guess, look into that job description and see if from anything from doing that job would benefit you as a medical coder. Like if you are a biller, okay, and you've never been a coder, but then you want to transition over to being a coder, you already have valuable experience. Why? Because you've worked with the insurance companies, you know what they will and won't take, and things like that. So that is somebody that's very valuable. You know what I mean? Somebody that's worked with the insurance, somebody that's worked in the billing side of the house. Those things are very valuable. Also, and this is sort of jumping the gun on another one, what medical office positions would be good to start in if you are looking to move up into being a medical coder? Medical records is another really good one because you're working with medical records. And people who work in medical records tend to like assemble the charts, or they go through the charts, or they're working actively with charts. And so those things are very important. It's important to understand the whole composition of the medical record itself, and then they work with the privacy and with patients and things like that. I mean, as far as like all of their information, making sure that everything is there. It depends. Sometimes medical record positions vary, right, greatly on where you are. So it just depends on where you are. But people that have worked in medical records have moved up to being medical coders, I've heard before. Same thing with billers, same thing with people who work with medical insurance, things like that. So those are really good to move up in. If you can get a like a front office job, reception, some people have moved on from reception into to medical coding. So that's another variety position that you can sort of get in. But using those other positions to get into the position of medical coding, you want to make sure that the people that you are interviewing with at least know what your intentions are. This is your intention. You have a medical coding certificate now, credential, and you want to move up into to being a medical coder, but also you need to get paid too, right? So you want to just get your foot in the door that way, because oftentimes when companies or places are hiring, they sort of look at their people that they have already there and see if they want to go for a position that's open. So this is why I say making those good connections at that time, and at least making your intentions clear. Hey, I want to do this, but I also am doing this because I want to be a medical coder. I have my credential and I want to get in. I would like to work here. Okay, so that is my advice on that one. Okay, number 8. When you get audited as a coder, is this where you have to be at night, you have to have 96% accuracy comes into play, and is being audited a bad thing? Okay, yes, this is where that 96% accuracy comes into play. And being audited as a medical coder is not a bad thing. This is the norm. I mean, it is literally just a word. You're being audited, and it's not meant to be scary. It is a fact and a part of life when you are a medical coder. Just like filling out production reports and working with spreadsheets and things like that. These are a fact of life. Doing queries, these are a fact of life. So being audited is not a scary thing. Can you get fired from it? If you are performing poorly, yes, you can. It also depends on what is going on. Are you trying? Is this a computer issue? Is this a coder issue? Are you just basically maybe not understanding what's going on? And I've talked about this before too, that if the auditor is a really good auditor, they'll help you to understand why they're marking you wrong. And anytime you are being audited, you should be told why whatever you selected or whatever you coded was wrong. And you should be given a reference. This has been my experience. This may not be the experience everywhere, okay? So please don't get me wrong. But in my experience, I have always had, well, Bleu, you got this wrong. Okay, well, why did I get it wrong? Okay, because this says it here, or this says it here. Okay, and this is where you can sort of go back and forth with your auditor and say, okay, well, no, I disagree with you on this because I saw this. Because the auditors are human, okay? They're like everybody else. They make mistakes too, you know? Auditors are generally people who have been in the field for a long time and know a lot, you know? So those are very, I mean, they should have a very sharp eye, you know, as auditors. As part of your job is to have a sharp eye. But it's also the thing about it is, you know, their job is to make it not as scary, you know. I mean, they could say, well, my job is to audit them and make sure they're doing it correctly. Okay. Well, if you have somebody that you're marking as incorrect, make sure that they understand why it's incorrect so that they don't continue to make the same mistakes. Now, if the auditor is auditing you and telling you you made a mistake, and then you continue to make that same mistake after they've showed you a credible source, and you continue to do it, well, then there's consequences for that, because you're obviously not either paying attention, or you don't want to learn, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Hopefully that's not the case, you know. But if it is just a disagreement, what generally happens when there's a disagreement between the auditor and the coder, and this has happened between me and my boss, we have locked horns and gone rounds because, you know, she's insistent that she's right and I'm insistent that I'm right. And I don't always get like this, but when it's something that I know for sure I got it right, I mean, I know that it's right, and she's like, I know that I'm right too, we'll send it on to a third party neutral, and then they'll settle it. It's been pretty good. I mean, you know, sometimes I get it back and sometimes I don't. But usually, whenever I am very insistent about something being correct, I will bring every single resource that I can so that they know that this is not something that, oh yeah, I'm just trying to get away with getting it right and getting it back. That's not the way to do things. So you always want to make sure that you are, if you are being marked wrong, make sure that the auditor is, what they're saying is also true. Okay, so that's why it helps that they have with their resources, and they usually do. So but like I said before, and I've talked about this before about getting audited, and I think I'm going to do like a whole video about audits. Okay, with auditors, you always want to be respectful, you know, because these things can get loud. I recall one of my first ones that it was at my second job. You know, she was just, I don't know. I think she had no coffee that morning, and she just came in like, you know, and I was like, whoa, you know, hey, you know, and I was like showing her, and so when I showed her, she got upset because she was like, you know, it was, you know, you're right, you know, and then she was just like, well, you know, so it's just like, I'm sorry, you know, but it's there, you know, I brought my proof, and she never forgot that either, and she even told me, years later when I saw her at conference, she was just like, do you remember when I audited you? And I said, yes. I said, I still tell that story. So, but it really is no big deal, as long as you're paying attention, and sometimes they will catch you on stupid things, and nothing irritates me more when I get caught on something stupid. I'm like, oh, what was I thinking, you know? And sometimes it is literally a slip of the finger, you know, like when I'm entering in the code and I'm thinking, man, that was dumb, you know, because I usually look over the codes, but sometimes, like, if you get into a rhythm and you're just going fast, or, you know, for some reason you have to hurry up, sometimes these things just happen. I've put on a 25 modifier instead of a 57, which I think was stupid. But sometimes, like, your mind, you know, you're doing procedures, and then you're doing you're coding for like fracture repairs and things like that, and you're like, oh man. So I mean, I don't do that too often. I've been told I'm really good with modifiers anyway, but you know, that's just one of those things. I mean, but yeah, don't be scared when it comes to being audited. Don't be scared, because I'll tell you what, when you get those audits that are 100% across the board and they can't find anything, and you're like, you're like, holla. I've been like that too, but I mean, I don't do the happy dance in front of them. I just do it later on. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool, you know. And then later I'm like, yes. Because nobody likes somebody that gloats in front of them, you know. So, but anyway, that was it on that one. So, I am gonna go ahead and wrap this one up, because I do have a special message on my next video that I want to have it separate from this video, because this is Q&A Tuesday, but I do have a special message that I need to give to 2 of my viewers. So I will be doing that on the next video here in a couple of minutes. But I hope you've enjoyed Q&A Tuesday. I hope I gave y'all a bunch of good answers to your questions. Yes, that was it. I was just making sure that I didn't have any more. But yes, guys, if you have any more questions, I'll be doing Q&A Tuesday next week, so be sure to submit them. I will include my email address down in the description box below, and so you can send them on in anytime you like. All right, well, I will see y'all on the next video. And if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. All right, well, I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.